Well, this is the second one of these I did today. I did one with Brian Bell, and I am back once again. Well, today as I'm recording this, because this will be up in a few weeks. But hello, everyone. Welcome to Britton's Hangout Hour, episode 54. I'm here with Ryan Skeffington and a adorable big dog that's standing behind him. He's like,
Yeah, that is Sammy. She's got one of her two favorite toys, and there's probably a high likelihood that she busts through one of the doors that doesn't have as good of a locking mechanism, so she might come hang out with us in a little bit.
yeah, my cat does that. She just busts in. She doesn't care at all. She's like, pet me. I'm like, all right, all right, all
Oh
right.
yeah, the pets are definitely attention seekers. We have two cats and a dog, and our king size bed is not large enough for the whole family.
So, oh,
And
look at
oh
that.
man, I predicted it within the minute. Okay.
Um, yeah, she's like, oh, wait, is that a shoe?
It is an alligator. Can I have this? So,
Oh,
one of her chew toys. I think she has a pink giraffe as the other one. That's her favorite.
but you write stuff. You
Yeah. On occasion,
you
I've
write
done one
stuff.
one of those.
You you do oil stuff,
Yep, my
and
day job is a natural gas project manager.
also you say you're the future governor of Oklahoma. So
That's a dream of mine. So we will see if it comes to fruition. I think I have one vote locked down in this chat, but who knows? Maybe I have some convincing to do.
we'll see. I guess.
I do remember that this is a booktube channel first, so we won't dive too far into Oklahoma politics. It's probably not on point for the worldwide audience that you have.
So are you actually from Oklahoma originally, or are you just
I am a transplant. I was born and raised in Arlington, Texas. That's
Oh,
near
okay.
Dallas. So
I've been
three
there.
hours north. Yep. I spent 18 years there. Went to school at Texas A&M. I'll peep the logo for everyone. I spent 4 years there. Got a undergraduate degree in petroleum engineering, and moved up here to start my first job after college. Worked for a company called Devon Energy, the big tall one downtown in Oklahoma City. The oil and gas industry is volatile, to say the least. Got laid off when I was 23, and found myself at a more stable company a few years or a few months later. So, been with that company ever since, coming up on 6 years.
I remember I was in science class in the like sixth grade, and they were showing us this video about if we ran out of oil, what would happen, and it looked really bad. So, would you say we're in you know anything about that? You think they were gonna run out of oil in the next few years, or
So I keep off of speculative discussions about how much oil we have left. I would say conservatively that we have more than 40, 50, 60 years of oil. However, as we progress into better ways to generate electricity, whether that be solar, wind, nuclear, hydro, even using more natural gas, we're using hydrocarbons less to generate electricity. So hopefully that lengthens our available supply. So I think we'll be good for our lifetime.
fair enough. But yeah, you wrote a book, or have you written several
I
books?
did. So this is my very first book. It's called Lost Souls.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a creation from the audacity of man. I was driving home on a 13-hour drive from Nashville, Tennessee, after my Tennessee Titans lost a playoff game, and I had an idea, and I was like, "Oh, that's a cool idea. I wonder if there's a book about it." And I wasn't a big reader, and so I was like, "I should write a book about it because obviously I could definitely do that." So I started, and it's so much harder than I initially thought. But I was knee deep into it, so I just had to get it to the finish line.
So, have you did you read growing up, or did you? So, like, what happened
Yeah.
there? How'd that go?
So I read a lot as a kid. Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events was
Mm,
some of my favorite. I think I crushed one of those in like 3.5 or 4 hours, one sitting straight. So I very much enjoyed it as a kid. And then high school and college, they made us read like Dante's Inferno, and it really was just not for me. I
What
was like,
high school did
this.
you go to? They made.
We were a 5A school, and we had over 4,000 kids for the ninth through 12th grade. So I started with a class of 1,083 kids in ninth grade.
Oh wow.
So big school, and it was an AP English class, so I guess they expected a lot of us. And Dante's Inferno, just as a comparison, is like that thick.
Oh
It
my
is.
god.
It's a chunker.
Yeah.
Um, and it was like a summer project, and I transferred into this high school. I was supposed to go to a different one, transferred midsummer for the baseball program was a little bit better, and I didn't find out about the Dante's Inferno summer project until 2 weeks before school started. So
Oh,
that did not start me off
that
on
a
a good foot.
similar thing happened with me in the Count of Monte Cristo, except I didn't learn until I actually went to class and like, oh, we had to read this over the summer, and I was like, excuse me. So yeah, that wasn't
Well,
fun
I'm
catching up.
SOL on that one. Sorry about it, teacher.
Wait, you haven't read the Count of Monte Cristo?
Oh, no, no. You, when you showed up on the very first day, you're like, well, I didn't read it. No one told me.
Yeah, I had to play a lot of catch up in that class, and kind of turned me away from doing any other AP English in the future. I'm like, I am not doing that again. Though a lot
Yeah.
of kids in that class were sharper than regular English class.
Yeah. And so I guess the forced selection of what I was told to read kind of diminished my desire to read.
Mm.
And I was really good at math. So, me being in high school, young and a little bit naive, thought it's one or the other. Like, you're going to be good at math or you're going to be good at English. And I was like, all right, math it is. And so I kind of stopped reading. And then in college, it was a lot of textbooks. It was a lot of nonfiction. After college, it was a lot of professional development, personal growth, and then a lot of like business books. And the reads were very enjoyable, but they weren't fun.
Mm.
And then I guess as I started writing, my wife said, "Hey, let's start a book club." I was like, "That's a great idea because I need to learn how to write because I'm absolutely trash at it right now." I was writing in the first and third person perspective with past and present tense with omniscient narrator views. I was breaking the fourth wall. I was like, I need to get better at this. It was so bad. And so we pulled out this chunker of a book, Prior of the Orange Tree. It's 790 pages.
Jeez.
Yeah, maybe about 800 pages. And she quit on page 20. And I finished the whole thing. And I was like, hey, this was a lot of fun. It's not perfect. It doesn't fit like the genre that I think I would like. Like I read Dune shortly after, and Dune is an A+ book for me.
So
But it got me
why'd your
back into
wife quit
reading.
at page 20?
She expected Game of Thrones, and it was more like high school drama with a little bit of magic and about that much blood, guts, and gore. So it wasn't her thing.
So your wife's a bloodthirsty individual. Is that
Hmm
it?
In high school, I think she said she wanted to major in biochemical engineering to make weapons. And
God.
she diverted from that path when I think she found out she needed to take like advanced calculus and physics and all that. And so she stuck to the sciences, but thankfully we don't have a weapon of mass destruction creator in our household.
Yeah, you have your
I
own.
sleep safely at night.
You have your own Oppenheimer hanging out in your house.
However, she is quite the culinarian, so I sleep well and eat good.
No, that's good. Um, but you're a self pub author, and I haven't seen a lot of self pub sci-fi writers. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm sure they exist. I mean, well, okay, they do exist.
Hey,
You're doing it.
N of one.
Yeah, but like what drew you to like sci-fi genre in particular?
Yeah, I guess I would expand upon your point as I get more involved in BookTube and talk to people and meet other authors. It is heavy in the fantasy genre.
Hmm.
And I guess I hear it all the time that Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and Tolkien was a massive inspiration for everybody. And I never read anything by Tolkien. And so I guess it was just a lack of exposure.
Haven't seen the movies? Have you seen the films?
So I was young when the first one came out. It was 2003. So I was under 10. And my parents didn't let me watch older movies until much later. And then I think I tried watching Lord of the Rings when I was like 14, 15, and it didn't click with me. So I have seen them as an adult, but I didn't grow up with fantasy. But sci-fi is something that I absolutely loved as a kid in all types of media and all types of form. Um, Halo 3 is a huge inspiration for
Yeah.
me and for this book. It was the very first time I had a game console that had an internet connection or like Xbox Live.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and my brother, we're both very competitive. And so we would just spend hours upon hours, day after day, grinding ranked matches. So I spent a lot of time in the Halo verse. And so sci-fi is just something that I naturally gravitated towards. And that's kind of why I chose to write in this genre.
So, I'll admit, I kind of got into the Halo games when I was in middle school. I have to say, Reach is my favorite.
It's
I love the design of that game, and the gunplay is just, it's so
Reach is
crisp.
so good.
It's so
Yes,
crisp.
it allows you to flex your skill on some people.
Yeah. I miss those days. I gave my Xbox to a friend of mine, and about like maybe a week later, it got stolen because it was from a shadier part of the neighborhood where he was
Dang
living in.
it.
But I have a
That's
lot of
unfortunate.
fond memories playing Halo Reach.
When I was a freshman in college, I was in my dorm room. It was about the size of this office, maybe 10 foot by 12 foot, and we had two people living in it. Halo 4 came out,
Mm.
and that was back when GameStop did midnight releases. And so I took my BMX bike that I got when I was like 10 or 11, biked from the college campus to the local GameStop, and got Halo 4 on the midnight release, bought two Mountain Dews and three Monsters, and finished the campaign before 8 a.m. calculus.
Oh my god.
So I don't think I slept for approximately like 38 hours.
Oh my gosh. That must have sucked, or you were just so hyped up you weren't you
I
weren't
think
feeling
I
it.
was 18 and I had three Monsters in me. I had heart palpitations that night where it like skipped a few beats and I was like, hold on, that's not supposed to do that. So I quit. I quit drinking energy drinks after that. Just soda and water from now on.
So you wanted to be safe, pretty much.
hmm Definitely did not want my heart stopping prior to the age of like maybe 70. I think that'd be an okay age where I'd be like, you lived a good life.
So yeah. Is there other sci-fi media that you enjoy? I mean, I know you streamed games. All right. I saw you on Matt's
Um,
show, and I really enjoyed that interview. So
yeah,
that's
Matt
kind of what I
is
was
an
like.
awesome dude.
That's why I was like, I gotta talk to this guy.
What are some other sci-fi inspirations? So, funny story, and I just told this a little while ago. My dad and my mom took me and my brother down to Galveston, which, for anyone not from Texas, that's about an 8-hour drive from the Dallas Fort Worth area. And we didn't have Game Boys. Really didn't have anything to keep us occupied. So my dad went out and bought a TV that had a built-in VHS player. He got a 12-volt cigarette lighter converter so that you could plug the TV into the 12-volt outlet. And we watched Star Wars Phantom Menace down and back, I think 5 or 6 times. And so I absolutely loved the prequels of Star Wars. So this is a controversial opinion on the internet, apparently, that everyone just does not like the prequels.
I
However,
think they're growing. I think they're
yeah,
softening up on him since
yeah.
the sequels were so bad.
I think since 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and everything after, excluding Mandalorian, which I hear is pretty phenomenal, everyone is lightening up on the prequels and saying, hey, these aren't as bad as we said they were. It's kind of like Nickelback and Creed. Like those are two bands that I grew
Yeah.
up on. I was like, these are good bands. You're not going to tell me otherwise, even if you hate on them. I'm still going to like them. And 20 years later, hey, I'm proven right again.
It's weird. It's weird how things work. I was just watching a stream earlier before we were doing this, and the people who were talking on it's like it's kind of weird how people like things, then they hate things, then they go back to liking things. Sort of the trend of the internet, if you will.
Yeah, it's hard to stand by and like proclaim that you really enjoy something when other people fight you on it,
Mm.
just because it doesn't feel good to be on that side of the battle if there's less people in your army. So it's just easier to kind of stay under the radar and not say anything. So I understand.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I've had my takes that I've had to defend in the past. Like, for instance, I'm not a big fan of the Matrix films, including the first one. You
Okay.
would not believe how much flack I've gotten for
My wife
liking.
absolutely hates the Matrix. I tried to show her the first Matrix, 4 or 5 years ago, and I think we finished it. She was like, I almost fell asleep multiple times. And I was like, I can't blame you. It is a certain type of movie for a certain type of person. If you like it, you love it. And if you don't, it just doesn't click. But I love The Matrix.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, some of the backlash I got, you would have thought that like I murdered somebody's dog or something. It was crazy. I'm just like, oh man,
Yeah.
like it's just a movie, guys. Like you don't have to listen to me. Though a lot of it was
Hey, you
snarky
insulted the
comments.
movie. That means you insulted them because that's part of their personality and that's all they have.
Though
So,
a lot of I did get a lot of snarky comments about how I was too young to appreciate it, and I was like, yeah, whatever.
yeah. Eh, I
Yeah.
didn't start appreciating movies until I was like 28. It was turn monkey brain on and explosions happen, and that's what makes a good movie. Like Pacific Rim is a phenomenal movie because it's just giant mecha robots fighting giant monsters. It is just turn your brain off, let the explosions happen, and let us take you for a ride. So, um, I love movies like that.
Oh yeah. Um, you like the John Wick movies?
Oh, yes. John Wick is so good. And as I've watched John Wick multiple times, John Wick, or rather, the writers of John Wick do such a good job with the world building
I was just about to say
outside
that.
of John.
I was just about to say that. I was about to say, am I at the best world building I've seen in movies since ever? Maybe. It's
You know, it's,
not generally something I think
yeah,
about when it comes to movies. I usually think in book terms when I think of world building.
right. That's just showing how well they did it because you get in one scene the fucking pencil scene, you understand the magnitude of the Baba Yaga and
What
how
Theon did.
dangerous this person. Yeah. Um, so I love the John Wick movies. I think they got a little stale more towards the end because it's hard to come up with unique and creative and awesome ideas when you've front loaded them. But I think all the movies are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I will admit I did watch chapter 4, and it did drag a little bit in the final act of that movie. Little bit. At least I thought it did.
Is that the one where they had the duel at the end and he was
Yes.
laying on the ground? Okay, see, 4 is almost forgettable to me. I think I had to watch it in parts because I watched it on a plane utilizing like Southwest free movies. And so, yeah, I would agree that it kind of drug on in its parts.
Yeah. Those first two movies are really good though.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. And
And three's
it's
good too.
funny,
I like all four
someone,
of them, but
yeah,
it's just kind of.
from 1 to 2 they turned up the violence. I think it was like 3 or 4 times. I think in movie 1 there was like 79 deaths on screen, and then in movie 2 there was like 289 deaths on screen. And so they're like, hey, everyone really liked this shoot 'em up, John Wick is the invincible hero, let's just turn it up to 12.
Mm-hmm.
So that made the movie longer. um and maybe took away from some of the subtle world building that we got in one.
Mm-hmm. Though he still did it, I liked all the like rules and stuff, like that kind of weird underground world thing, whatever the hell it was.
Oh yeah, the high table is a super cool concept, and having multiple layers to a world where your main character might be the number one on his layer, but still has to fall in line to the different power levels of the different layers.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool in John Wick and fantasy and sci-fi. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why people like anime. Like you get an overpowered protagonist like Goku, and then they just unwrap another level, and he's no longer the strongest in the universe, and he's got to go fight Jiren in the Tournament of Power. There's just another layer of an adversary, and that progression keeps people involved.
Have you read like lit RPGs? Because I've heard
I
that's become
haven't
kind of
yet,
big.
but I hear Dungeon Crawler Carl on every single YouTuber's like weekly wrap ups for like the last 3 months. It is going through a phase.
I personally find it kind of weird, because I play video games and I play like
Hmm.
RPGs, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I could just play my video game. Though the books are
Yeah,
probably cheaper, to be honest with you, because you can go on Amazon. They're like $20.
I think it's just an opportunity to have people have the same experience in the medium of their choice. I like video games because cost per hour played is typically like pennies, where you buy a $20 book, read it in 8 hours, you're spending $1.75 an hour. League of Legends is free, and I've probably put in 5,000 hours of League, and so my cost per hour of League of Legends is $0,
My only exposure to League of Legends is Arcane, which is
which is
fantastic.
fantastic. Going into other storytelling, holy shit! I love anime, and so when they did Arcane and League, sorry, anime plus League to make Arcane, oh man, I was on board from episode one. Absolutely heartbroken that they like released the first 3 episodes and then said, okay, come back next week for the next 3 episodes. You watch the next 3 episodes. Okay, come back next week for the next 3 episodes. It was like the worst of both worlds. You don't get one a week until it's done. You got like a chunk, and then you got
Yeah,
invested.
it's like watching The Legend of Vox Machina. They did a similar trick, like 3 episodes per week. It was
Hmm.
oh god, it was torture.
Yeah, I did not forgive them at the time, but since it's been out and I've rewatched it, man, it is so good.
I'm
Um,
not sure if they're coming out with the second season or not,
they
but
are. I think it's this year in like November.
oh wow.
So the beautiful thing about live interviews like this is the internet is at our fingertips. November 2024, Arcane
Wow.
season 2.
Yeah, hope
Um,
it's good. Hope it's good.
I got to watch a video from the writers. I think there were two writers, and they focused on duality as one of the themes for Arcane. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have Piltover, and I think Zaun is the underworld. And so you have a light and dark world, and then you have Caitlyn and Vi, police officer and criminal, and the duality of the two sisters. One that
Silco
is
and
good. Yeah.
who's the other guy's name? Vandar?
Oh,
No.
Vander? I think it's
I
Vander.
think it's Vander. Yeah.
So yeah, like duality of role models, and then the duality of scientists. You have Jace and Victor. So there are so many wonderful metaphors and stories and characters where they focus on that theme of duality and have those characters make really hard decisions that lead to individual consequences for each person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Arcane is sick.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I'm not a. I'll admit I'm a little picky with anime because it can get a little Well, you were
Yes.
talking about Dragon Ball earlier. You know how it is. They start screaming and powering up and going rah. I do like the Frieza arc from Dragon Ball Z. I might be a bit of a
Yes.
normie, but it's some good stuff.
I am a fan of One Piece, and so I've seen all 1,100 episodes of One Piece. So I've seen everything that there is to offer in anime: the good, the bad, the amazing, and the ugly. I think my least favorite thing about anime is the fan service trope, where they just put way too much on the screen. And like, if someone walks in and you're watching a show and you're like, "It's not what it looks like, I promise."
Yeah. Yeah, no. Like, I mean,
Um,
I have my gripes with anime. Like, why does everyone look so young? Like, the oldest
yeah.
person in it in some animes look like they're like 20. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
That
Or
is something I noticed as well, and something I tried to put in my book is I think the youngest character in my book is 23. And so everyone in this book is an adult, which, like you said, in a lot of content and a lot of like coming of age stories, you have the teenage character. And I was like, I don't want to write about teenagers.
um though I will say, there's one anime that's in my top 5 favorite shows of all time, Cowboy Bebop. You know,
A
I don't, sh-
plus.
I don't shut up about that. I love Cowboy Bebop so much. It's unhealthy, Ryan.
See, everyone has their vices. Yours just happens to be a 13 episode show with 22 minutes with a focus on jazz. It's not a bad vice.
I know exactly. It's like it has everything I enjoy in media, like noir, yeah, grounded sci-fi universe in spades, jazz, fuck yeah, you know, like it's the package, man.
Space Cowboys,
Space
A plus.
Cowboys, yeah,
Hmm.
it's awesome.
There is there is so much to love.
Crazy intricate, mafia stuff. Like, oh my
Hmm.
god, give me
You
more.
know, that's what I try and tell people about anime is there is something for everyone of every age range and every quality level. It's like if you only watched sci-fi original movies like Shark versus Tornado or whatever that movie was and said, "This is what the sci-fi genre is, and that's why I don't watch sci-fi." And then like Dune comes out next week and you're just like, "Ah, it's sci-fi. I don't watch those." So,
I have a complicated relationship with Dune. You know, I was actually watching the trailer for the second movie the other day, and I was like,
yep.
looks cool. And I just kind of went off.
Why do you have a complicated history with Dune?
Well, I read it.
Hmm.
Didn't
Mistake
quite
number one.
didn't vibe with it. I was kind
Yeah.
of like, all right. I mean, it's one of those like I liked thematically what it was doing, but I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah. Hey, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Everyone's got their own tastes. I was fortunate that I saw the movie first and I saw it with someone who had read the book. So they were able to teach me about the Reverend Mother. They were able to teach me about the fear prayer, what the Duke was trying to do, the different families, and all the
I
lore
actually
that.
think the Duke was done a little better in the movies because in the book he's like this just obese, disgusting pedophile kind
Are
of.
you thinking of the Baron Harkonnen instead?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think Baron was done really well in the movie. Um, Duke Leto Atreides is Paul's dad,
Yeah.
and I'm
Oscar Isaac.
thank you. Oscar
We
Isaac
share a
was
birthday, so
phenomenal. Oh, that's super cool.
there you go.
I share a birthday with Jeff Gordon. My
Oh,
claim to fame as a 6-year-old in Texas who didn't watch NASCAR.
I never got the appeal of NASCAR. Like I just
You know, I just got into Formula One like within the last 2 years, and so I am slowly forgiving all the people I made fun of who watch NASCAR because I get it now. It's different, but I can understand the appeal.
like I remember I have vague but very definite memories of seeing Cars when I was younger, and I was like,
Oh,
oh man.
fantastic!
Oh man.
I wasn't a fan as a kid because I didn't know the story, I didn't know the drama, I didn't know the drivers, and so I didn't know really what made the sport the sport. And I was like, car goes in circle, it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a newfound respect as I get older for all things technical and high speed. So
Did you
I'm not a
watch
fan at the moment.
the Neil Blomkamp movie, the one about the kid who's he played the video games of the
Gran Turismo.
yeah, that one.
It's on my to be watched.
I don't like
The
that
movie
director,
version.
but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Is there
I don't like his sci-fi movies.
are there movies that you can think of that maybe I would know that he directed?
District 9,
Oh, that is a controversial movie. Um,
Elysium, which is one of my most hated films of all time.
yeah, Elysium wasn't great.
Great
I liked what
effects.
it tried to do, and that's actually probably a comp for my book is different class struggles, living in a ring
Well, I hope it's
society,
not as bad.
elevated.
Well, I hope it's not as badly done as Elysium was, because I fucking hated that film.
So my thing was there's no more planets. Everyone's on the ring. And so it's a complete divergence from the physical separation from planet to, I guess, satellite. And everyone's on the same one, so they interact with each other, and that's where the conflict comes from.
Hmm. So, I guess I should ask, what is? I guess that leads nicely into what is Lost Souls? Like, what's it about? What,
So, Lost
what's its
Souls
deal?
is the journey of a young man to find purpose with his life. Everyone on the ring has a job, has a role, has a function. He's unhappy with his station and he feels unfulfilled. And so he seeks out an opportunity to live up to the potential that he thinks he deserves. And because he goes around searching for problems and uncovering the truth of the ring, shenanigans occur, and the consequences of those shenanigans are
Shenanigans
played out.
occur. What? How could you call that for every other book in existence?
Yeah, that's the most spoiler-free way to say the middle of the book happened.
Oh,
Shenanigans.
yeah. No, it's probably a good way to put it. Um,
And it has lots of inspirations that I stole blatantly from anything and everything that I loved. Set on a ring because of Halo. The main character's name is Maximus because of the movie Gladiator. That's where this helmet comes from. His helmet design is based off the helmet. His gladiator rival is based off of Vi from Arcane, aka
mm-hmm.
League of Legend. Her weapon of choice is the gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
The gravity hammer from the front covers, a Halo 3 weapon. Um, Kana
So you're just
is
asking to get sued by
no, no,
somebody.
no. It's creative interpretation. I was inspired by these ideas. And I don't know when I heard this quote, but it fits perfectly. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but it said, great or good artists steal from two or three people, great artists steal from everybody. And so I'm just a great artist, according to this person.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like I've heard a similar quote. I don't remember how it goes, but
And
something of
I
that sort.
I think what it allows though
It was very
is,
freeing when I heard it because I'm like, oh, I can just fucking take whatever I want and do all this stuff with
hey,
it.
yeah, you
Yeah.
write what you know, and if there you have a multitude of inspirations, it allows you to creatively combine these ideas. Brandon Sanderson, who was I call my writing teacher because I watched all of his YouTube videos on his collegiate lectures, says the human mind is really bad at coming up with something new, but the human mind is excellent at combining two unique items into something novel. And so, like, the unicorn is just a horse and a rhino made up, but
Mm-hmm.
polymerized into one novel idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Shakespeare and his plots and his characters
Mm-hmm.
have inspired retellings of stories.
And
I'm
also
reading the Red.
Shakespeare stole
Yeah,
from history
absolutely.
and mythology
Hmm.
and oh yeah. So
I'm a bad reader. I don't read a whole lot, but I do watch author interviews all the time. And Pierce Brown
well,
interviews
how are you
are
gonna
what I've
get
been watching lately.
well? How are you gonna get better at writing? You gotta read at least
You
sometimes.
know, maybe I've peaked. But I've been listening to him a lot, and the Iliad and the Odyssey and everything Homer has written, and the Greek mythology and the Roman mythology inspired the society that Red Rising is set in.
Hmm.
And I'm still on Golden Sun, which is book 2 of the series, and so I don't know how everyone's plot lines play out. But in the naming convention, you see Greek and Roman influence, and so I think you can tell a wonderfully unique story, even if you're taking like foundational concepts from other people.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Yeah, I definitely have done that. It was definitely freeing when I've heard like you don't have to make the most original thing. Sometimes you can just kind of take stuff and play with it a little bit and do your
Hmm.
own. And plus, a friend of mine once told me, you're your own unique person. The only person who can tell a story in whatever way you want is you. So I'm like, oh
Absolutely.
yeah, that's
And that's something that takes time to develop, is that author voice. I just got this feedback. Someone reviewed Lost Souls and said the author voice is inconsistent in some parts of the story. And I was like, that's great feedback because I didn't have an author voice. I wrote the draft and it was really bad. And up until like maybe chapter 7 of 13, I had learned nothing about writing. And then on chapter 7, I listened to all of Brandon Sanderson's lectures. So from 7 till the end, I was a better writer with a different author voice. And so the front half of the book and the back half of the book were written by two different authors. So having to rewrite that and polish it throughout the entire story made it inconsistent. So hopefully on book 2, as I've kind of found my voice, it's more consistent.
yeah. I've been dealing with that too because I wrote a fantasy novel.
Hmm.
I'm very pleased with it. I'm kind of going over the drafts right now. I don't know what to do with it because I've been kind of debating with myself about what to do. I'm like, am I gonna self pub? Oh wait, I don't have that big of a fan base on my booktube channel, so hey, who's gonna read it? And then I'm like, I don't know. I've
I
had I've
would
had
frame
debates with
it
friends who are
as
like, you should try trad pub. If you self pub, you're just gonna throw your writing away. And I'm like, I don't know. So I don't know yet. We'll put it that way.
I would say, just from my experience, not expecting to make any money from this endeavor. It was just a creative passion endeavor that I wanted to accomplish. And so when I finished draft 1, that was mission accomplished. I wrote a book. The job is done. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. And so everything after that was just icing on the cake. I think I sent 3 query emails just to be like, to go through the motions, because that's what people told you. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm applying for a job, and this doesn't. I'm not a fan of this. And then I watched some YouTube videos on how to self-publish, and I was like, okay, that is guaranteed the only way that I'll ever do it, unless an agent approaches me and says, "Hey, I've read your first trilogy. I'd like to represent you and do everything on the back end." Then yeah, absolutely. So an agent approaches me, I'd trad pub on whatever I was working on. But I have a full-time job. I'm married. I have a dog and 2 cats, a life outside of writing. This is just something I do for fun. And so sharing it with the world is kind of the point of storytelling. And self pub makes that possible.
Well, sure, yeah, sure. I guess it's just I take the craft very seriously. Not saying
Well
you
then,
don't, but
no, trad publishing might be for you. I mean, if
but then again,
you,
publishing is such a thing, and
it's
the
tough.
fantasy novel I wrote, it's pretty niche. Like I don't think well, I've said this before, but I don't think Orbit takes anything that's like under 500 pages. I don't know. I just don't know.
And because I'm not in the space, I don't have authority to really speak on it. But if that's something that matters to you and it's important, I'd say go for it. It's probably going to be a lot more work up front, where you have to go through the edits. You have to make sure the polish is there. You'll have to query agents. Listening to Pierce Brown talk, I think he queried 125 agents.
Oh my
And
god.
the last person who I think is his now agent or the agent for Red Rising, was like 23 years old, fresh out of college. So
Jeez.
they were both the same age, they had both the same experience level, and it just worked out for him. But 125 emails, personalized cover letters, and query applications, that's tough. I
Mm.
It's not for me. It could be for
But
you.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've heard arguments from both sides about self pub and trad pub, and like it's a gamble, man. Like that's what I've learned from talking with writers and just hanging out with people is like it's a gamble no matter what you do. It's not necessarily it's not like a. I don't think it's a black and white thing. Is my
Yeah,
point.
absolutely. There's a lot of gray in the decision making process of which way you choose to go. But I would ask, what is your goal with writing? And then separately, is there a different goal with publishing?
I mean, I want people to read it.
Okay, so that's one.
That's what I
Do you
want.
want to make money?
I mean, it's something I want to do. Yeah,
Okay,
something I'm very
so.
I mean, I'm quite passionate about storytelling. That's
Mhm.
really
And I would say that
it's
you have shown the resiliency and determination and follow through to make trad publishing happen. Because, as it says in this title, this is Britain's Hangout Hour number 54, where most podcasts don't make it to episode 20. And so you are already 150% farther than most podcasts.
yeah.
And so if you apply that to your writing, you could have similar results later on down the line.
Yeah, I've noticed I can be quite tenacious.
Which is a good thing to have if you're
Well,
doing
if I
the
care
right
about something,
things.
unless
Yeah,
unless unless it's something I don't really give a shit about, and like I'm probably not gonna really care too much. But if it's
and
something
that's
I really
okay.
care about, then like I'm all in. I don't know.
Yeah, the obsessiveness doesn't need to be on everything. It
Well,
just needs to
no,
be on the one thing.
no. And that's I mean, my point was I don't know what I want to do. Maybe I'll
That's okay. I
at
spent
the
my
moment
entire
anyway.
20s trying to figure out what I was going to do when I grew up. Still growing up.
Yeah, no, it's been a time doing this, and I would like I have a deep fondness for the sci-fi genre, but like I don't see a lot of people. I mean, I'll see people who cover fantasy cover it as like a kind of another genre, but I don't see people cover it so much. I mean, I started a show called The State of Science Fiction, which
Hmm.
I'm trying to get more people to do that. It's kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not well, it's not like this where I put it up every week, or I do this frequently. It's more like a it's kind of
It's ad hoc. Whenever it happens, it happens.
pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. Uh, yeah, and I think, I'm forgetting his channel's name, but it's Matt. Is it Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews? Who's over in England? Older gentleman,
Oh,
bald
it's Matt on
beard.
books.
Matt on books. Thank you. His intro is something along the lines of mainly fantasy, sci-fi sometimes.
Hmm.
And so there is definitely a lean towards fantasy, and I think people use books as an escape.
Hmm.
Sci-fi tends to be very realistic, and so
Depends
um,
on who it is, sure.
right, yeah. Well, sci-fi versus sci-fantasy is where you kind of get into that unrealism. And then also I think it's not as hopeful. There's not as many heroes. Granted, I'm not as well read, but from what I understand about most fantasy stories, there's a main character who's going to grow and beat the villain and become a badass, and you're going to root for him the entire time. Sci-fi may not have that same feel-good story across the genre stereotyping.
I was about to say, well, not every fantasy, but
Right.
enough
Grimdark's
fantasy where
definitely having its moment.
yeah, no, it's weird how it all works, but I have noticed no, I mean there are some people like Words in Time. If you've ever watched him, his name's
Hmm.
Jonathan.
Yep.
There's this other guy I'm trying to get on. His name is Aaron, I think.
from Bibliotheory.
Yes.
Solid dude. Best review I've ever had to date. We love Aaron in
Yeah.
this household.
He seems like a cool guy. Um, and he's very much into sci-fi. I enjoy that.
Hmm.
And there's also like Secret Sauce of Storycraft, which I like.
Oh, that one's new. I'll have to check him out.
It's a lady.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check her
Um,
out.
but yeah, you've shown up to a couple of my streams, and you said you like some of my episodes. So yeah, I want to invite you because again, I saw your conversation on Matt's channel, and I was like, I gotta talk to this guy. He has some interesting things to say. Or at least
I
I thought
I've
you did.
I've found that I'm not very good at posting on social media. I'm not very good at creating edited short form content, but I am extremely good at talking. And so the live format or pre-recorded
Well, I mean,
conversation format.
if you're gonna be a politician, then that's a good skill to have.
Absolutely. Everyone else does the editing and the recording. I just need to show up and talk. And I've got a lot to say.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. There's this guy I watched on YouTube, and he actually lives not too far from where I'm at. His name's Carter Brown.
Okay.
You two look alike.
Huh. I'll have to get a cup of coffee with him and we'll have a doppelganger day.
Yeah, it's funny. Just like with the long hair and the beard, I'm like, God, it looks like Carter a little bit.
What's his last name?
Brown.
Carter Brown.
He's on YouTube.
Nice.
Now, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much you enjoy like kind of navel gazy content, but he does stuff like that. Like he covers books, but he does other weird stuff. He's also been in a couple of commercials.
Oh, very nice.
Like
So,
he's
yeah,
on
we
one for a
might be the
bar.
same person because I've been an extra on a few movies and I've done a reality TV house hunting show.
Interesting. So, like, would you
So,
do the ones where they're like smashing the walls, or
no, it's more so the it didn't actually air because it didn't have enough budget to go the whole season. But the episode we filmed was a newly married couple looking for their first brand new house. And so it was actually the builder of the neighborhood who tried to make a TV show to sell his houses.
interesting? So you
Yeah,
had a
so I
life.
yes. Well, in the episode, I had a wife who was not my wife, and in real life, I have a wife who's probably behind this wall.
Well, I said you've had a life.
Life. Oh, I completely missed that one. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the volume up a little bit.
I'm like, wait, so that wasn't with your wife now?
Correct. She was also an actress in the TV show.
Boo, fake. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
I was on Google the minute we finished wrapping, and I was like, "Is House Hunters real?" And it was like most episodes are pre-recorded or fake, or they've already chosen the house, and then they just pretend to show them two more houses to make like an episode. And I'm like, my whole life has been a lie.
So, what else so are you working on new projects? I'll be right back real quick. I gotta do something real
Yeah,
quick. But
I'll go ahead
just
and tell everyone about the new project. Or I guess it's re-recorded, so I can just hang out and we can edit later. But yeah, the new project is Eternal Dreams. It's book 2 in the Infinite Existence series. Currently at 96,000 words on draft 1. I was very scared we weren't going to get to 100,000, which is what book 1 was. Um, but I found that through the drafting process, I add words through all the edits because I write a skeleton first draft, and then I add all of the emotion and the description and the effects that the characters have. Alrighty,
I'm back.
so welcome back. I gave everyone a nice little pre-cap to what Eternal Dreams was. Since you said this is recorded, do you want me to just do that one more time? We'll do a nice little cut and transition.
Yeah, sure. I can do that.
All right, we're gonna Yeah, Eternal Dreams is my sequel in the Infinite Existence series. This book was an accident. Lost Souls was supposed to be a standalone book. I was going to write a book and then be done with it. Mission accomplished. I wrote a book. And then I found that I loved the process so much. I was like, I need to do it again. And so I went and edited Lost Souls to add more characters and give other characters screen time so that I would have a plot for Eternal Dreams. And Eternal Dreams is sitting at 96,000 words, which I was kind of scared that I was just not going to have enough words. Um,
That's
but
more. That's more
it,
than.
uh,
That's more than mine. Mine was just over 80,000 words. My
hey,
first
that's still a
novel.
solid book. I and the way that I write is I do a skeleton first draft where I write what's happening and what the characters are saying and what the characters are doing. And then as I go back in through the draft and the edits and the rewrites, I add the emotion and then I add the consequence and then I add the feeling and all the subtext. So I add another 10,000 words. So book two might be 110, 120,000 words. And then book three, which kind of plotting as book two goes along, so I can plant the seeds in book two that will sprout in book three. I expect it to be 125 to 150,000 words because it is all politics and the grand crescendo of everything that's been happening in book one and two so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um. So, like you mentioned Game of Thrones. So, do you guys like Game of Thrones in your household?
So I like Game of Thrones. My wife loves Game of Thrones. I would say she adores it. Um, she listens to YouTubers who have read the books. She has a complete set of the books. She has a cookbook. She has the graphic history of Westeros. So we are
So,
a
she's
Game
a
of Thrones
sweaty.
house. Yes, she's very sweaty with her Game of Thrones. She knows the family lineages. I struggle to remember the names. Like my characters in book one, only one person had a last name.
Well,
Everyone
you
else was
read.
just first name.
Well, you read Dune, so it can't be that hard.
Yeah, well, I watched the movie first and then read the book, so that helped me out a ton. Knowing how to pronounce things and knowing what people looked like and knowing what the scene looked like, and so it was a little bit easier. But yeah, I still remember Harkonnen and Atreides and the Reverend Mother. So I'm a midway fan. I remember things, but I'm not watching the hour long theories of what
Well, yeah.
Dune is about. So
I mean,
that's where we stand.
I'll admit I'm a little bit of like I do like lore a lot. Like I'm kind of a lore
Hmm.
junkie. So like like I'm a big Star Wars fan, for instance. Like I know an unhealthy amount about the lore. So it's
Hey, that's okay. That's just called learning history. That's a
um
profession. People get degrees in history.
I do like history. So that I thought about doing something about history when I was in school, but I I'm doing something for journalism now.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's good
Um,
stuff.
the flood is an interesting, I guess, antagonist or enemy in
Oh,
Halo, and so I just actually watched an hour long full length history of the flood
did you
because I'd
watch
like
the
to.
Did you watch the Halo show?
No, absolutely not.
I was about to say it looked
No.
bad. Oh my
So they
god.
made like a little mini series called Halo Forward Unto Dawn, and then put all the four episodes in like a 1 hour show that was more so the soldier's story, and then Master Chief comes in and has like a cameo. Definitely worth a watch. It's phenomenal.
I remember I watched like a little bit of that, but that was like I don't know.
It was a long time
I
ago.
was young when I
Hmm.
saw it, so I was kind of like, yeah. But maybe I'll watch it now and see if it hopefully it's better than the Halo show. Like,
Absolutely. It's stuck to the. They didn't take his helmet off. That's
oh
all I
thank
got to say.
God.
They didn't
Oh,
take his helmet off. I even think they got someone who is either extremely similar to the voice actor or they got the voice actor, so it was canon. And I very much enjoyed it.
yeah, because it's just like it's like Judge Dredd with Master Chief. You never take the mask off.
Hmm.
Never. Like he
Who?
is
Oh,
physically, mentally,
Hmm.
metaphor, whatever. Like, you do not take that mask off. Well, they did show his eyes one time, but you
Hmm.
know.
So, speaking of dread and great, phenomenal science fiction movies, the 2012 version of Dread with Carl Urban,
Oh, underrated.
um,
Oh,
that is an A-plus movie.
oh
That
yeah, it's
is
very
a
good.
dystopian science fiction movie that I don't watch movies more than once very often. I watch Dread every chance I get. If it's on TV, we're putting it on. If it's on like an airplane and there's like 80 other brand new movies, I'm going to Dread. Such a good one.
I mean, it's a lot better than the one with Stallone. Oh,
Yeah, but that's I think that's like 27 years of writing and film and technology
yeah.
development. So hard to compare. It's like comparing the old Dunes to the new one. It's just, it's unfair to compare an NFL running back to a 12-year-old linebacker. You know who's going to win that one.
Have you ever seen those clips of the mascots playing against the kids?
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious. Like in a
Oh
like
yeah.
Schadenfreude way, where you're like you
Hmm.
kind of feel bad. You're laughing at it, but you're like, this is so funny though. I'm so
Oh yeah.
sorry,
And
kids. Don't
it's
be
so funny. It's
like he
kind of
just one
timely
of
for
them just
this
shoves the
weekend.
kid out of the way. I'm like, oh my
I
god.
I think Christian McCaffrey got stiff armed by a mascot when he was like 7 or 8 years old, and now he's in the NFL, so he's getting his revenge.
Yeah, they can be nasty little buggers.
Oh yeah.
You ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
So that I don't watch a whole lot of serialized television
Fair
like The
enough.
Office or Parks and Rec and Sunny, but I do watch them on Reddit when clips are posted. So
Oh,
I've probably seen 40% of the show via clips.
have you seen the one where Charlie fights the Phillies mascot?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I was about to say yeah. Yeah, I love that.
That's there are so many just amazing skits. I don't know the character's name, but the one who went from like kind of chubby, skinny fat and got like really buff,
Uh huh.
and he was showing it off, and he ripped his shirt off, and he was just like an Adonis statue, and everyone was like, what are you doing? What's going on?" And he's like, "Boom, I got ripped," and they were like, "Sit the fuck down. We're talking." And they just completely ignored him.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's one
think
of my
yeah, it's Mac.
favorite skits of the whole show.
It's Mac. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
poor guy. He can't get a break.
uh, the crazy one, I'll say, who has all of the pictures on the wall with all the strings connecting them.
Oh yeah,
That's
early
probably one of
yeah.
the best
Yeah,
memes on the
the
internet right
Pepe
now.
Sylvia,
Hmm.
where he's freaking out. He's like, okay, not only do all of those people exist, but like they have been asking for their mail every day on a regular basis. Like we are gonna lose our jobs, dude. I really enjoyed that show a lot.
So I get the best of the best from all the serialized TV shows.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But you've also watched. So have you seen Cowboy Bebop? Since you
Hmm.
say you watched anime,
I watch a shit ton of anime.
yeah, no, all my friends are like, but dude, you should watch Samurai Champloo. It's way better. And I'm like,
Mhm. Well, I mean, it's
I'm
great, but
I mean, I
you're
wanna.
allowed to like what you
Now
like.
I do want to watch Samurai Champloo because it's made by the same
Hmm.
guy who did Cowboy Bebop. So I'm definitely gonna watch it at some point. But I don't think anything's gonna beat Cowboy Bebop for me.
Yeah, that's one of those shows that's like A+ tier. If it is your number one, it's going to be your number one forever, most likely. Um,
Also, I
the
watched it
show.
when I was in middle school, and it was just like that magical period where I was just
Hmm.
like, yes, and
Hmm.
I love it.
You're never going to be able to watch it through those rose-colored glasses again, and so it will always be peak.
Oh no, I mean I've watched it 2 or 3 times. It still holds up well. At least I think it
Does
does.
okay, very nice. I love that. My rewatch number one show is Gurren Lagann, and it
I've
is
never heard
a
of
a
this.
mecha anime
Oh,
where have you read Red Rising?
I know of it. I haven't read it yet.
Gotcha. So the plot of Red Rising, hopefully not spoilery, it's been out for 10 years, is a low class that lived underground discovers life above ground and wants to go on a hero's journey and make the world a better place. That's the plot of Gurren Lagann, and it came out in 2008. However, instead of like battle hardened soldiers, they have mechas, and it's funny, it's fun, it's emotional. It's 26 episodes, so you can like binge it fast. The main character goes on a transformative journey. The scenes are epic. The scale is grand. In episode 25, the scale gets so large that the main character grabs the solar system and throws it like a frisbee. So you got to watch it.
That sounds really crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I like the more like grounded anime, like
Hmm.
like Monster. I watch Monster.
Uh-huh.
Really
Yep,
enjoyed that
yep.
a
You would
lot.
like Psycho Pass.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard that's really good. I
Okay.
like
Yep.
Death Note a lot, though. I
Solid.
mean, I know people say they don't like the second half. Well, I just say right now, I don't care. Okay, I love it. I love all of it.
I
Does it
think
get convoluted? Yeah, it does. Do I care? No.
I think
That
Death Note
ending
was
is great.
the first one me and my wife watched together. So that holds a special place in our heart as like our first anime. And then we went and watched Sword Art Online, and then we got into good anime.
I've ne- Oh God, I mean, it was all. I also was probably averse to anime at first because I had a bunch of weeaboo friends who were like,
That'll ruin it.
they were
People are the
like, bro, you
worst.
should watch like Attack on Titan. I'm like, dude, it's hard for me to take. Like, look, there's people who probably enjoy Attack on Titan. God bless them, but it's kind of hard for. I mean, I know this is gonna sound really ironic coming from a guy who likes superhero comics, but
Hmm.
like, it's hard for me to take those naked, big creatures running around killing
Yeah.
people. It's kind of hard to take seriously. Is my point.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. I'm actually in the middle of a rewatch right now. We love Attack on Titan. It's one of those shows that has layers, kind of like the world of John Wick, like we were talking about earlier, where it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it unravels more and more.
I like the
And
design though. I really like the design of the series, even though it has that everyone looks like they're 20. Though, if I remember right, they're all teenagers. So I'm like, okay, but
right, yeah, they start out as 13-year-olds, they go through some training, they get 16, and then as the season progresses, they hit like 19, 20, 21. But later in the show, you introduce a lot more adult characters, and so it's a nicer mix.
there's one kid I remember. He's like blonde and he looks
Hmm.
androgynous, and I'm like, is he a guy?
Yes, yes,
Is
there.
he
I
a
know who you're talking
girl?
about.
I don't know, but I digress.
That's the point. But yeah, I love Attack on Titan.
Oh,
It,
sorry.
it's it's
I
okay.
was just kind of
It-
like, I was just talking about how it wasn't for me, and you're just like,
hey,
I like
everyone
it.
is allowed to like what they like. That's what genre is.
I
It lets you
also, I
know,
mean,
hey, you might like this, or you're not gonna like this.
I mean, I do like Western animation. Like, I'm a big Avatar: The Last Airbender fan.
A plus.
Um, I really like Scooby Doo. I have a soft spot for Scooby Doo because I grew up watching it.
Mine,
Um,
SpongeBob.
yeah, yeah, it was
I
SpongeBob
think
was weird.
everyone's is SpongeBob.
I've watched SpongeBob. Like, I never got into it for whatever reason.
Huh.
I remember watching it, and there's one episode where like Squidward gets like his toe pulled out, and I was like,
Ooh,
he's like moving a couch, and he like breaks his toe or something,
ouch.
and I'm like, no.
That hurts. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one specifically, or I don't remember it because I think SpongeBob's been under production or in production for like 30 years almost.
Yeah, no, I remember. I enjoy. But yeah, I've seen some episodes. I've enjoyed some SpongeBob. I haven't really I haven't watched a lot of it. There's this show I did watch recently called Scavenger's Reign, which was really interesting.
I haven't heard of it. I'll check it out. Where did you watch it?
It was on HBO Max where I watched it. So
Solid. I think we have that.
it's really trippy. Like it's like Miyazaki. I don't, have you ever watched
Oh,
Studio
okay.
Ghibli?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Moebius and Miyazaki, and it's just kind of there. You go.
Interesting.
It's about a bunch of people who are stuck on this planet and they're trying to get off of it. So, you know.
That's right up my alley. That plot point is perfect. So I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, it's really quite something. Um but yeah, I watched that, and then I also like Rick and Morty. Even though I'm very frustrated by Rick and Morty, but I like it. But you know, it's good stuff. I don't know if you've ever watched
Uh,
Rick and Morty, but
I've caught a few episodes, but it came out I think while I was in college, and I just didn't have television at the time, so it wasn't one that I ever went back and watched. And I think it also premiered right around when Breaking Bad did, and so that was one that took all my time if I ever got to watch TV.
yeah, Breaking Bad is great. I love that show a
That's
lot.
probably one that I need to rewatch. I watched it one time through and was like, "All right, this is a near perfect TV show."
Oh, I've
Don't
watched
ever
it
need to
many
watch that
many
again.
times. it's
Yeah,
oh, it's one of my favorites. I love Breaking Bad quite a
there's
bit.
just too much content.
I know.
You just have
I
no
haven't
way.
seen a movie in like 3 months, not even more than that, because there's just too much content now. I have like 3 streaming services. I can't
Yeah,
choose
like
anything anymore. It's like, you know, it's not like
I.
books where I can go to the bookstore and just kind of cruise around. You know, it's
Mhm.
tough. It's a tough world we're living in.
The tragedy of choice.
Yes. The tragedy of too much choice. We'll put it that
Yes,
way.
absolutely. Infinite amount of choice for how you spend your time.
Yeah, but you know, like I want to rewatch Star Trek Deep Space Nine again, but you know, fun stuff, fun, you know, all sorts of stuff.
With how much I love science fiction, it is a surprise to me, but also not a surprise. I never got into Star Trek. It's not something my parents ever put on or were interested in. And so I guess I never knew the entry point on where to start. And so I just never did, which is unfortunate.
Well, I mean, I'll admit, I call myself a lapsed Trekkie because I
Okay.
haven't watched Star Trek in a very long time, which is it was sad. I was talking about Deep Space Nine with one of my friends the other day, and I had completely forgotten stuff. And I usually am pretty good at remembering things.
Mhm.
So from from shows I like. So yeah, that was kind of embarrassing. I'm like, I gotta watch this shit again. But
Hey, like we just said, tragedy of too much choice. Some
I
things
know,
gotta slip.
I know. But I mean, you know, you could watch like The Wrath of Khan if you
Hmm.
which is the movie. If that doesn't hook you, you know.
Okay, I'll check it
But
out.
it's very much it's about like space. Did you ever play Mass Effect? Because you play video games. Did you ever play Mass Effect?
So I didn't, and it's one that I would really like to try because everyone says it's awesome.
I was one of those guys for a while, and then I finally
Hmm.
played it. Then I was like, damn it. Oh,
One that I really love is Horizon Zero Dawn. It melds fantasy and sci-fi really well. It takes like a I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but the concepts are a lot of fun.
I've seen that on my PS4. I haven't really gotten any.
I would say it's absolutely worth it. I think the first one came out in 2014 or 15 and they recently remastered it and so it's gorgeous.
I've been playing through Call of Duty a lot recently because you know sometimes I just get overwhelmed by everything, and I'm just like, you know what? I just need to chill the fuck out for a moment and let off some steam. So I'm just gonna play
Just
some
go be a
Call.
superhero.
Yeah, just play Call of Duty for a little bit, and you know.
That's where I got my start in video games on consoles was like Call of Duty World at War
Oh,
or
it's
sorry,
phenomenal.
Call of Duty Big Red 1 was the
Oh
first one I played on
wow, that's
PS2.
old school Call of
Oh
Duty.
yeah, I think it was like Call of Duty
My
2 before Call of Duty 2 came
mine
out.
was mine was World at War, and I played it like when I got older, and I'm like, what was my dad thinking when he bought this? This is so messed up. Like,
But
holy
Zombies was
shit.
just such an amazing experience for like most of my high
Oh
school
yeah,
career. I would play for
Zombies was the shit when
hours.
I was a kid. Like, oh, loved it. I would get online and play with people.
Yeah, the ray gun I thought would never be topped from a weapon ever. Like it is just so much fun. And then they released the Wunderwaffe, the lightning gun,
Oh yeah.
and oh my gosh, I tried to get that one every single game I played. It's my favorite weapon of all time.
Oh yeah. I remember I had a magnet. I don't know where it went, but I had a magnet that had all the perks on it.
Hmm.
So I was I really loved zombies.
The perks were such a cool ad after the very first map too.
Though I really like the campaigns, which is kind of weird because like a lot of the people don't play the campaigns, but like
Hmm.
Call of Duty had some great campaigns back in the
Absolutely.
day.
Did
Like
you play Modern Warfare 2
oh, I
or
was about
Modern
to say
Warfare 1?
the original Modern Warfare games are great.
What's
First
the
Black
one
Ops is
mission?
phenomenal.
It's where you're in the ghillie suit and you're going on the
Oh yeah,
sniper
that's Modern
mission.
Warfare.
Modern Warfare, yeah, that mission was amazing because you could do the whole mission without firing a single bullet.
Yeah.
So
Though I mean I like shooting people.
I think I dropped off after Modern Warfare 3. That was the one that I didn't buy, and so I haven't bought one since. But I did play Warzone when they released that because it was just a free battle royale, and I was big into Fortnite at the time.
Oh, you like
So
Fortnite? I never
battle
could get
royale
into
was my
Fortnite
thing.
because I'm not a like I don't know. I played. Did you ever play Battlefield?
I didn't play Battlefield just because when Battlefield came out, Call of Duty was my choice. It was like PlayStation or Xbox, Battlefield or Call of Duty, and I chose Call of Duty.
Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of like there's a game called Conquest on
Mhm.
Battlefield where you're just running around, big ass map, and I like more close quarters combat. So it's that. So just being around, like I like the idea, like running around on a big map, but I just get bored. I
Yeah,
like
I
shooting
understand
thing.
that.
I like shooty.
So is Team Deathmatch your game of choice?
Either that or free for all, because I'm
Okay,
a, you know,
that makes sense. High action. I was a domination player.
I'm a adrenaline junkie. What can I say when it comes to Call
Were
of Duty?
you a commando lightweight USP with the knife stabby boy?
I don't think I did that. No.
Okay. So that was my brother's favorite thing is you get the USP leveled up getting headshots or whatever, and it gives you like the extended knife with the gun, and you run around with Commando Pro, which means you can sprint without getting tired. And then there was another perk. It was like dead silence, so you were quiet so no one could hear
Oh my
you.
god.
And then you could like lunge like the Halo energy sword. And so he would just run around knifing the shit out of people. And he was like 12 at the time. So he would talk all the crap in the world. And there was nothing you could do about it because you
I
pull out a
also
shotgun.
also enjoyed
You,
assassinating people in Halo.
oh, yeah. It felt like Mortal Kombat.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
That was my dad.
Oh, no, no biggie. But yeah,
He's
the assassinations were a lot of fun. Call of Duty is a lot of fun. I wish I still played video games like I used to, but you know,
petroleum
you
calls.
yeah. I would do anything in my power to leave that job if I could find something that paid equivalently. However, being an independent author who sells one book a month is not as lucrative as having a job.
Fair
So
enough. Fair enough.
th-
Um.
it's what I'll do until something takes off and I become the next Brando Sando. I just got to do a Kickstarter, right?
Yeah. Um. I've always felt weird about doing Kickstarters because it's like you're asking people to give you money and I don't know.
Yeah, I
Maybe
feel
it's
the
a
same
pride
way.
thing. I don't know.
I think the gentleman's name is Zach Argyle. He
Oh
just did a
yeah.
Kickstarter for his Threadlight series, and he came out with the omnibus hardcover, special graphics, illustrations with the book sleeve. And I was like, I want to do that one for one when I finish my trilogy, and like that is something I do a Kickstarter for. But I don't think just doing one for a book it would be worth it for me at least.
Yeah. No. I had a friend who um well I actually talked to Zach Argyle's wife the other night. Bookborn.
Oh, very nice.
Before you're like what? Yeah. He's married to Bookborn.
Okay.
So yeah, we hung
Was
out.
she on the channel or did you join her?
Oh, she was on this show, so
Oh,
that's gonna be
nice.
up as of the recording next Monday, or this upcoming
Fantastic.
Monday.
She's a pretty large YouTuber, isn't she?
Yeah, she
In the
might be one of
community?
the biggest I've had on so far, aside from
That's
maybe
awesome.
Philip Chase and Jimmy Nuts, I think.
I don't know Jimmy. So I know Philip and I know Bookborn. Um,
Fantasy Nutwork. He also does manga as well.
okay.
So
Nice.
he's around. You may see
Very
him
cool.
at some point. He might ask you to come on chatting with Nuts at some point if he
Yeah,
finds
that would
out
be
who you are.
fun. If you want to put in a good word, I'd be happy to chat with them. I'm always looking to just have conversations with people about books and other fun stuff.
Yeah. Going back a little bit. But yes, I enjoy a lot of sci-fi content. Oh yeah, you were asking me earlier about Star Trek. Yeah, I would probably say like if you want original, I mean you could watch the original show, but it's kind of it depends on how much you can handle corny because it
Hmm.
is very much a product of its age.
Yep.
Or you could watch the Wrath of Khan, which is
Okay.
basically the original show just with a better budget. Um, or you could just go into the Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, which is my personal favorite.
Okay. Got it. One that I also liked that's Trekkie adjacent is Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, the
I
guy
didn't.
who wrote Battlestar Galactica got his
Uh huh.
start writing Deep
Okay.
Space Nine, so
Fantastic.
you'll
Okay.
you'll
I'll
dig
start
shit.
on Deep Space
Which
Nine
is
then, because I know I'll like
hilarious
that.
because I have never watched Battlestar Galactica, which is one I feel really terrible about. Um, my friend's like, "You better fracking watch it," and I'm like,
So I always forget about it because it has been so many years since I've watched it. But Firefly is another
"Yeah, it's
space
another one."
opera-esque sci-fi show that is phenomenal. And then I think they finished with the movie Serenity. And I saw the movie before I saw the TV show, so I treated the TV show as a prequel to the movie, and I was satisfied at the time. But everyone's really upset that the TV show got canceled. So I understand their frustrations.
Yeah, no, I haven't. It's funny about Firefly. I've been hesitant to watch Firefly because I love Cowboy Bebop a lot, and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh man,
There are some
is my
similarities there.
love of Cowboy Bebop gonna ruin the experience of watching Firefly? I mean, maybe we'll see. Maybe not. I don't know. I try not to knock things,
Mm.
but
I'd say it's worth a try.
I really enjoy. If you didn't gather already from telling you about it a few moments ago, I really enjoy Cowboy Bebop a lot. So,
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I do probably have to hop off in a couple minutes to grab some dinner. Um, any questions or topics that you are interested in that we can do a couple more minutes deep dive
oh
into?
yeah, I watched your show with Matt, like I said
Hmm.
the other day, and you you were talking about your dad. He passed away some years ago, and that part of the conversation, I was very riveted by. I guess is a good way to put it, or well, riveted, touched, somewhere in between those two. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Um, but
talking about my dad is one of the coolest things that I think I still get to do to honor his memory. He definitely made me the man I am today, and I take his lessons that I learned throughout my entire life and try and apply them as much as I can to be a good man and a good person. So I'm glad that you were able to hear that story and learn a little bit about him. This book is kind of a love letter to him. There's a main character in Lost Souls named Pentalux, and the origination of the name is Star of the Five. He in real life had six siblings, but in the book I gave him five siblings, and so he is just a shining character in the book, and I just wanted to make sure that I told the world as much as I could about him, just because he was such a cool dude.
Yeah, I guess you have a gift, Ryan, that I've noticed from the few interviews I've seen with you and Matt, and I think I saw the one you did with Bibliotheory. You have a way of making people comfortable with talking to you for some reason. I don't know. Yeah.
I think I try and be honest
You know,
with anyone who I talk to
and
first.
Matt is a similar way. Matt from Beard of Darkness.
Yeah, he shares vulnerable parts of who he is, and I think that allows his guests and his hopefully new friends to also share with him and subsequently the audience. It's incredibly difficult to do if you've never done it before because you have to be very trusting that no one is going to take your vulnerabilities and hurt you with them. Um, and so I try and let everyone know confidently who I am as a human being. And I'm gonna quote Game of Thrones since it's topical for this discussion. Tyrion talks about um, wear your names or your deficiencies like armor, and no one can hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell the world who I am honestly, and I'm proud of who I am. And so no one can say or do anything that hurts me based on what I've told them before.
That's interesting. Um, Tyrion's my favorite character in Game of Thrones, but that's beside the point of what I was gonna say. I have this weird thing, like I haven't really shared too much of myself on here because I don't know, I just have this weird wall when it comes to, not that I'm like afraid of letting people know who I am or anything like that. Like, when you watch my videos or watch this show here, what you see is what you get. Like, this is generally who I am in real life or on the internet. But there's
Hmm.
just some things I don't love talking about. It's just some things I'm like, I don't know if it's just I don't like to, or I'm not ready to talk about it, or whatnot. But I saw your thing the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta talk to him about this because you were talking about your dad, and yeah, just it hit home for me because I haven't lost my dad yet. You may have heard him because this new mic, which is nice, does capture like background audio for whatever reason. Um, I had a close friend of mine who passed away about 5 years ago. Well, let me think. 24. Holy shit, almost 7 years. It's ridiculous. It's 2017 is when he passed away. And
Yeah.
well, when you talked about your dad, that really struck home with me.
I'm really sorry to hear about your friend, but what I would say is you said it's been 7 years and you still talk about that friend, and so I can infer that they had an effect on your life. They were a positive part of your life worth remembering, and so I try and take those lessons and say I need to live in a way that people will remember who I am. And that's treating people with compassion, kindness, being honest, living with optimism, because it's easy to fall into a trap of cynicism.
Mm-hmm.
And cynics will pull you down just so that you will drown with them, not to pull themselves up because they don't think they can find themselves above the surface. So I try and be a positive role model to anyone who I interact with or talk to, or anyone who reads what I write online, save for the stories since they're a little bit made up. But yeah, we we have the ability to use words in a way that have weight and power, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's one of these reasons I love doing these interviews. Is I get to be human.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 60 seconds on TikTok and 140 characters on Twitter are very digital. And so
Yeah.
that is why I enjoy these.
Unless you pay to the or on Twitter now you can pay and you can write
Yeah, I'm
more,
not
but I don't
getting
want to do that.
off topic. I'm not giving Elon Musk any money. Uh,
Yeah, I don't want to either, and also it's too much like hassle. I don't want to do it. I'm
hmm.
just lazy.
Which, can keep you from spending a whole lot of money. I call it, for me at least, cheap, but, lazy when pulling out the credit card, save you a couple bucks.
Bro, if I wasn't addicted to phone games, like I would take over the freaking world.
Hey, know your vices and just kind of set those parental controls. Hey, mom, here's the password. Don't let me have this password.
But yeah, going back to that, I thought I'd bring that up because you mentioned that about your dad the other day, and you're very it was very well, I was making dinner too while I was doing it, so I was just like, oh man, it's kind of deep. This was deeper than I thought it was gonna go.
Yeah, I didn't know how far we were going to get into it, but like you said earlier, Matt makes it easy to just talk.
Hmm.
And so he gave me the opportunity to be vulnerable. He was a good listener, and he allowed good conversation back and forth to flow. And so hopefully you got the best of me in that interview.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Well, if there's any other like things you want to share before we dip off here, feel free. Like if you have any projects coming up or
Yeah,
social media.
absolutely. So I do have a couple things coming up that I'm pretty excited about. Next week, I'll be on two channels. The first will be Nicholas Fuller, person behind the pages, on the 12th, and then I'll be on Aaron's channel with Brian Wilson on the 13th. We'll be doing a co-author book brew, and then I'll be ending the month on Kay's Hidden Shelf on
Wait, I thought
March 1st.
wait, I thought you're already on Bibliotheory's channel.
So I was on Bald and Balding a week
Oh
ago.
yes, that's right. I'm actually
So
hoping to have Mike Molman on here. It's soon.
yeah,
So
Mike was a great interviewer. He
or
gave me the floor.
Wallace
Um,
Shawn, as I like to call him, because he was like,
and
"Who's
then
that?" And I'm like, "The guy from Princess Bride, the schemer guy." He's like, "Oh
yes.
yeah."
That's awesome. And then on March 1st, we'll be kicking off the buddy read in the Page Turners Discord, where the Discord will be reading Lost Souls as the buddy read, and I'll be in there talking and providing answers to questions and feedback and laughing at everyone's memes as they read it. And I'm very much looking forward to that.
So, are you looking forward to the subreddit memes of your book?
It gives me life. Um, I just had a 17-year-old start Lost Souls in the Discord, and he finished it in 3 or 4 days, but he made like 12 memes of his experience through the book. And oh my gosh, I was cackling at work. I thought I was going to get in trouble.
It's like, there's joy here. Get out of here. This is a petroleum place. Sorry, I
so,
can't resist the oil jokes.
so I off topic, I'll make that joke with you later, but there are lots of jokes about oil and petroleum. So I know where you're coming from. I make the same jokes.
Um, but yeah, no, if you want to shill social media or anything like that, go ahead.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, any other place that has an at. I am at Ryan Skeff. No spaces, no dots, no anything, just at Ryan Skeff. And then I'm in Discord approximately 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. So if anyone wants to reach me, shoot me a message in Discord, and you'll have an answer in probably 10 seconds or less.
Oh, very
So
good.
that is it for me. Britton, thank you so much for having me on your
Well,
channel. I
yeah,
really
no.
enjoyed our conversation.
Yes, we should.
Got nostalgic about a lot of different topics, games, movies, anime.
Also, I
I
pointed
had I had a
you
ton of
to
fun.
Star Trek content, so I
Yes.
think I
Now I have
succeeded.
a whole new future to dive into, and I'll start with Deep Space Nine and then expand my horizons from there.
Oh, that's a great place to, though. I mean, though I will warn you, it might ruin the rest of Star Trek because Deep Space Nine is that good.
Go big or go home.
All right. Well, thank you, Ryan, for coming on. We got to do this again. I mean, definitely have a state of science fiction. I'll maybe peg you for in the future.
Yeah, that would be a ton of fun. I'll hopefully be able to bring some Red Rising knowledge into that.
All right. Well, until next time.
Alrighty, I'll see you later.